Hi, brothers and sisters. How are you all doing? Hope all good. This is the fifth week, and just wanted to share with you some few things about the developments in this last week. One of these things, which is very, very important, is that I want to share with you is obesity and COVID-19. It's been revealed and documented that the mortality rate under 60 years old patients with COVID-19 increased by 10 folds. 10 folds increase in mortality among obese patients under 60 years old. That's massive, really huge, and it's underlie one of those big and really challenging problems that we have in this day and age. Do you know, guys, that 11 million people are killed every year, and their death is attributed to poor diet? It's more than alcohol and smoking altogether. 11 million people, poor diet. And basically we know this for a long time, that metabolic syndrome, they call it, it's related to it's dysregulate the immune system, and then the immune system cannot really cope with infections and so on, and that's exactly what's happening with COVID-19. And it's absolutely devastating. So all I wanted to say that, guys, I mean, you have to spread the word and tell those obese people just to be careful, and tell them as well that it's not too late. You could change all this in a few weeks. The problem is we 50% of our food is processed food. Processed foods cause something else called chronic inflammation, and that's as well, it's really bad for the body, and there's been so many studies to support this assumption, and it is a fact now. And in a few weeks, if the patient or the obese person start to eat healthier food, and believe it or not, this is another pandemic. Even hospital foods is processed food, and processed food is really, really bad for us. But what can we do? We live in this modern time. What we have to do in this situation, I mean, we could just try to understand how it works, and just the gravity of the situation. I mean, 10 times fold increase in mortality rate among obese people under 60. Wow, that's really astonishing. Really, really astonishing. I want to talk to you about remdesivir as well. That's what we mentioned in the last video, and I mentioned and I told you how it works, and how how it interferes with the division and the copying of the RNA of the virus. Now remdesivir, it's been approved for use, and now it's the increase or decrease. There is a 31% recovery decrease. I mean, instead of 15 days, most of the people who took in remdesivir stayed in the hospital like 10 days, and that's because remdesivir interfere in the copying of the cell, or stops the virus from copying itself by of course, hijacking the cells. The other thing I wanted to talk to you is about the ultraviolet lights. I mean, in particular, C ultraviolet lights, um, UVC. This has been revealed. There's been studies going on for years and years now, and one of the major studies that happened about like 2 years ago, and it's proved beyond doubt that ultraviolet light, C ultraviolet lights, can destroy viruses and bacteria and all kind of pathogens, because we have like A ultraviolet, B ultraviolet, and C ultraviolet. C ultraviolet cannot penetrate the Earth atmosphere, and therefore all these viruses and bacteria, they have no mechanism to deal with it, because they only have this mechanism to deal with the A ultraviolet and B ultraviolet. And we know that A ultraviolet and B ultraviolet are very, very effective in destroying different viruses like the flu virus and so on. That's why we don't have them during the summer times. This is very, very interesting, because now we're talking about how can the virus survive in hot temperature or in the summer. It cannot survive in the summer because of these ultraviolet lights. So now if we could use these C ultraviolet to disinfect hospitals and schools and public transport and so on, that will be really, really beneficial. And now it's been suggested that we have to uh, adopt this kind of new system of disinfectant public places and so on. The other thing I want to talk to you is the Oxford vaccine. Oxford vaccine has been, I think, one of the very, very promising vaccines around, because there is 100 teams around the world trying to find a vaccine for the COVID-19. But Oxford virus is very promising. Why Oxford virus is very promising? Because Oxford virus, they've been working on a vaccine for SARS since 2003, the same lab. And they've been experimenting with so many different ways, and what they using at the moment, they're using adenovirus, which is the same virus that chimps get when they have cold and so on. And basically they're removing the very bad DNA material, RNA material in the virus, and they're putting the genetic basis from the coronavirus that is responsible or coding for the spikes in the coronavirus. So, of course, when we have this the virus, the vaccine has been developed, our immune system will realize these proteins that is the spikes themselves, and they will be able to deal with the virus when they get infected with it. And I hope it's gonna be successful, and I wish them all the success. And we'll meet soon, inshallah, and I'll see you soon.